Good morning, and thank you all for joining us here at OPG's Sandy Falls Generating Station. My name is Heather Ferguson, and I'm the Senior Vice President of Business Development and Corporate Affairs at Ontario Power Generation. I want to welcome a fairly long list of folks here today. First off, Moose Cree First Nation Chief Peter Wesley, Taquatagamo Nation Chief Bruce Archibald, the Honourable Stephen Lecce, Minister of Energy and Mines, the Honourable George Pirie, Minister of Northern Economic Development and Growth, also MPP for Timmins, Timmins Mayor Michelle Boileau, Kapuskasing Mayor Dave Pleward, Chief of Matagami First Nation, Chief Constant from Matagami First Nation, Paul Norris, President and CEO of the Ontario Water Power Association, as well as community members, local stakeholders, and quite a crowd from OPG. Thank you all for being here today. Before we begin, I'd like to start by respectfully acknowledging that the site we are gathered on today is located on the traditional lands of Matagami First Nation. Further, we acknowledge that all of OPG's generating stations are located on the traditional lands of many First Nations across the province. It's through these relationships that we've come to honor the deep connection that Indigenous peoples have with the land. And we offer our gratitude to Indigenous communities for their care of and teaching about this land, on which we have the privilege to live and to work. As a company, OPG remains committed to developing positive and mutually beneficial relationships with Indigenous peoples and communities. And this includes building partnerships on new hydro-generating projects here in the north to help power Ontario's future. So it's very fitting, as we look to the future, that we're gathered here at a site that's been powering communities for almost 115 years, as have many other hydro stations across the province. And we often like to say that over 40% of OPG's facilities are over 100 years old. That longevity is the true value of water power. So whether it's investments in existing facilities like Sandy Falls, where we are today, or new hydro generation opportunities, these will be appreciated by multiple generations that come after us. Hydro stations are capable of operating for many decades, generating clean power, as well as important economic benefits for the province and the local and Indigenous communities. I want to thank Minister Lecce and the province for their continued steadfast support and commitment to hydropower in Ontario, and it's with your support that we are now refurbishing and redeveloping our expansive fleet across the province. And it's also with your support that we now look forward to working with TTN and Moose Cree in a First Nation-led planning process for new hydro development on their territories. And with that, I would like to welcome Moose Cree Chief Peter Wesley to share a few remarks.
Good morning. Thank you, Heather. I just want to say I'm honored to be here today. Happy to be part of this announcement. Moose Cree First Nation supports our work with Taquatagamo Nation and the Co-Planning Committee to explore future water power development within the Moose River Basin. Our homeland offers some of the most cost-effective potential for hydro projects in Ontario, and we look forward to working together towards a new way to consider future projects through a co-planning process, a process that is led by First Nations and will give direction on how decisions are to be made regarding future hydroelectric projects across our homeland. In the past, we were not part of this process, and we are excited to work with the province on this new way forward. This collaborative effort aims to focus on the power needs of Ontario while respecting the interests of both communities and building upon our partnership with Ontario Power Generation on the Lower Matagami River project. Our co-planning work will develop a streamlined process for potential hydro development, ensuring environmental impacts are evaluated and understood by our communities, in addition to the benefits these projects could bring in terms of jobs and long-term revenue. Our communities and our values will guide the process in a way that will make projects a success, not only to our communities, but for all of Ontario. We thank the Minister of Energy and the province for standing by the Moose River Basin and Northern Rivers commitment, and look forward to continuing our work with Ontario Power Generation, our partner in principle in this potential new development. And thank you. And I want to call upon my colleague, Chief Bruce Archibald, Taquatagamo Nation.
Wache, good morning. I'd like to begin by thanking Minister Lecce, Minister Pirie, representatives from our partner and principal Ontario Power Generation, for all the distinguished guests that are here today with us. I especially want to recognize from Moose Cree First Nation, our neighbors, partners, and the co-planning committee. It is our honor to join you today to discuss an important work being done by the Hydroelectric Co-Planning Committee led by Taquatagamal Nation and Moose Cree First Nation. Our two nations are leading discussions and the decision-making process for potential hydroelectric projects within our shared territories that could create local jobs and economic community benefits while helping the province meet rising demand for electricity, especially in Northern Ontario. This is an opportunity for us to showcase that new large-scale projects can be built on time and on budget when First Nations are involved and have a seat at the table from the beginning. And now, thank you to the work of the Co-Planning Committee and our other partners at OPG and the Ministry of Energy. Two potential sites now, new hydroelectric projects have been identified further to study and planning work. 9 Mile Rapids on the Abitibi River north of Otter Rapids, and Grand Rapids on the Matagami River north of Kipling Generating Station. Projects like this offer local jobs, economic opportunity for our youth, and long-term benefits for our nation. Economic reconciliation means, we lead not just to participate, it means that our voices and our priorities are heard and respected at each and every stage of this process. This is also an opportunity for the province to walk the walk on nation-to-nation collaboration. This means supporting First Nations-led approaches while helping to achieve Ontario's energy and infrastructure goals. Thank you to Minister Lecce for acknowledging the co-planning commitment and showing the rest of Canada what true economic reconciliation means to our communities. We look forward to continuing the exploration of potential hydroelectric opportunities together and doing our part to support Ontario's work to meet rising demand for electricity here in the north and across Ontario. Miigwech, thank you.
Okay, well, good morning, everyone. It's wonderful to be with you today. I want to say, first off, it is an honor to be back in Timmins with these fine leaders behind me. I want to first off acknowledge that we are joined with some of the leaders that made this project happen. I'm just referring, of course, to the Indigenous chiefs who are standing behind me but have been leading this process from day one. This was a dream, a vision from over 30 years of talk, and finally we have action today. And this would not have happened if they didn't take that first step and lead the way. So I'm very grateful to all the chiefs who are with us today for their leadership in making it happen. I'm also grateful to my parliamentary colleague, George Pirie, who's been an absolutely outstanding representative and voice for the people of Timmins, for Northern Ontario, who is now in a critical role to help ensure economic development in partnership is achieved and realized so that your children could get a job and own a home in the community they were raised. And that is a beautiful mandate that I know George is fully committed to achieving, having been a strong mayor, a strong leader in business, and a proud Canadian. So congratulations, George, upon your re-election, sir. I'm looking forward to working with you. And likewise, thank you to the mayors for joining us. It's always a pleasure to have you today. I mean, look, we need more power. Like in Northern Ontario, we need 81% more power. That is roughly 6% higher than the provincial average. You're doing something right here. Businesses, industry, agriculture, families, everyone needs more clean, affordable power for the growth of our country. And we have a huge opportunity to lean into hydropower, clean, reliable, and yes, affordable, the most affordable power source we can generate in the province of Ontario. And I'm so grateful that we have partnerships led by First Nation communities that are helping to drive the bus. As I was told, they're driving the bus, they own the bus, and they want us to be part of this process of sharing the prosperity and the wealth. And I love that expression, because what it means is government, and through OPG and through the Ministry of Energy and Mines, we can partner with leaders on the ground who know their territories best, who want to maintain a clean environment for their children, but want to make sure we're also part of the solution to grow and seeing economic development and reconciliation being realized like today, not in another 50 or 100 years down the road. And so I want to acknowledge the progress we're making, but also acknowledge the problem we have. And so we've taken an all-of-the-above approach on energy generation. OPG has been on the forefront of this. It could be through our clean nuclear fleet. It could be through the largest expansion and renovations to our hydro fleet in Eastern and Northern Ontario. It, of course, could be our renewable energy expansion through the largest public procurement in Canadian history, 7,500 megawatts of clean power. And likewise, through other sources of technology we're using, including storage. The largest storage fleet in the country is taking place right here in Ontario, and so the third largest on the continent. So we are literally leading the way. And that's why I wanted to come to Timmins today, because I thought this is exciting. 30 years of talk, we finally, the chiefs have been kind in expressing gratitude to George and myself, but the truth is they deserve the credit. It just took a government that was able to realize that we've got the best partners on the ground who want to make things happen for their community. And that's what we're doing today, where this is, yes, it's nation building. We're building energy that hasn't been done in the province. In roughly a decade, the government of Ontario has not invested in net new large-scale hydro in a long time, too long, some would submit. But certainly for the communities behind me, they would submit for 30 years, we could have done this a long time ago. And so we're very, very honored to be working in partnership with the communities here, of course, TTN, Moose Cree First Nation, all of whom have been taking brilliant work when it comes to hydroelectric generation. And I mean, what I will say to you is over the past 6 years, we really ensured that the communities were in the driver's seat. And the new 9-mile rapids generating station, as the concept we're talking about today, the new Grand Rapids generating station, these potential projects could generate up to 430 megawatts of clean, affordable power. That's enough power for 430,000 homes in the province of Ontario. And this expansion is not just going to help support Ontario's economic growth, but it will support the entire energy ecosystem. It could be for manufacturing or technology or mining, whatever it is. We need the power. It needs to be affordable, clean, and always reliable, base load power that we can depend on in our country. And for over a century, hydroelectric power has been at the center of our economy. And so it's a great honor to be leaning in to hydropower today, doing it in partnership with great advocates like Paul and others who've been strong defenders of this, and the workers who are with us today who every day come into work to make sure the lights are on. And 1 million people in Southern Ontario were affected by one of the worst storms in 30 years. So I want to thank the frontline workers, some of whom are with us today, because you folks make it happen. Like we cut the checks, you do the work, and you deserve all the credit. So I want to thank you all for your amazing commitments to being with OPG. These are folks who stay with OPG often 20, 30, 40 years. They are loyal to the brand because they're a good employer and because they're good workers. And I think that's a great story to tell today. I also want to say that, so while we're proud to make this investment, proud to make this announcement, proud to lean in to 400 plus megawatts of additional net new power, we're also realizing that the North is growing and we need to co-locate more generation closer to where that demand is. Less transmission lines. Let's bring more energy and utilize or generate more energy in the North. And that's what we're doing today. Now, what we did yesterday was something a bit different, but it's common theme. We're up against a common threat as Canadians. For all of our differences in the room, we perceive our differences. We are very much united today as Canadians as we stand up to President Trump. A man who cavalierly speaks about the, annexing our country, and our economic and cultural sovereignty is at risk. And so yesterday I asked all of the utilities of Ontario to step up and to follow Ontario's lead by ending American procurement and buying Canadian, supporting Canadian workers and Canadian steel and wood and materials that are fundamental to our economy and to our future prosperity as we're up against this warfare from the south. And I'm proud that utilities are answering the call. And the largest in the country already said, yes, they're going to follow suit. And I will tell you, before the media even get to the question of on hydropower, we're at over 90% of the procurement of all the things we buy to make these things happen are Canadian. In nuclear, we're over 94%. We are leading by example. And I'm so grateful that we have a great story to say, buy Canadian, built by Canadian. That's the future of energy in Ontario. And I just want to thank you all for being a part of this enterprise, for believing in the power of affordable energy and clean power. And more importantly, I want to thank your MPP, a minister, a dedicated member, someone who has spent many years in public service. George is, yes, Ontario's Minister of Northern Economic Development, but he is also a mentor for me. I mean, there's no greater subject expert when it comes to mining than this man. He's been a wonderful champion. He's been a good friend. And I can't wait to get going and working with him on more projects like this that are going to make a difference and improve the quality of life and the economics of Northern Ontario. So please welcome the hardest working member in Northern Ontario, George Pirie. Thanks so much.
Well, Stephen, thank you very much for those kind words. Really and truly, it's just a real honor to be standing here with you today. Again, thank you very much for those kind words. I'm honored and humbled to be standing here today in front of three chiefs that are absolutely responsible for the development that we're talking about today. This Sandy Falls power generation started here in about 1909. Shortly after the discovery of gold. And it really doesn't matter if we, at that time, world's richest gold fields, you could have all of the bounty in the world, but unless you have energy to power the development, it doesn't happen. I have a map in this will surprise a few people. I've got a map in my office that goes back to 1911, and the Sandy Falls Generation Station is already marked on that map with the transmission line. Last time I was talking about energy in Timmins, it was when the transformer was delivered into the Gold Center station, and I spoke at that time about how important and how essential energy is. And it's a natural partnering of energy and mines. What we have now with the Ministry of Mines is natural. Without any development, nothing can be developed without energy. It's just natural that we have Minister Stephen Lecce here, Minister of Mines and Energy. They work together like this. They have to work together. I think I've told you already that the highest potential for new hydro generation in the province exists in the Moose River Basin and the Albany River Basin. Together, there's 3,570 megawatts of potential. In northeastern Ontario, Jackfish in northwestern Ontario has got about 78 megawatts. And it's all going to be required to do what we must do to pivot away from our dependence on the U.S. markets. We have what the world wants in our backyard in everything. I mean agriculture, forestry, mining, manufacturing, all require energy. If we're going to really realize our dreams and our potential, we need energy. And we have it in spades in our backyard in the Moose River Basin and the Albany River Basin. That's our future. It starts with energy. We've got the projects, we'll have the energy to develop them, and it starts again, and it's all made possible with the partnerships with the First Nations people that we have right here. It's an exciting time. It's getting more exciting. I don't know how you feel about it, Mr. Lecce, but I'm not threatened by these tariffs. We have what the world wants right here in our backyard. All we have to do is seize the day, speak with one voice to ensure that we achieve our destiny. I hope you're as excited as I am. I'm really excited about this announcement. Have a great day.